And let's welcome Bayer Toyebi, our newspaper reviewer. Bayer, good morning and it's good to
Good
see
morning,
you.
Kirian. Thank you very much. Good morning, Kinsley. Good morning, Nigeria.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
That's right. Kyria?
All right, let's begin with the Nation newspaper. Above the nameplate of the Nation, PDP governors, senators meet on party crisis. That's on page 4. It said NEC to plan convention. No need for NCC approval to permit results electronically or to transmit results electronically. That's according to INEC. The details on page 5. VAT, let's be our brother's keeper, says Gombe governor. That's on page 2. Another varsity don sacked for alleged sexual assault. That's on page 3. Now, the lead story, Buhari to service chiefs and IG, end banditry and kidnapping, find new ways and tactics. 6 more Super Tucano jets in next week. All right. We also have other stories here. Striking doctors, twisting government, says Ngige. That's the Minister of Labor. All right. We also have Eagles make it 100% in 2 games. That's on page 31. 1.5 million Nigerians fully vaccinated. That's on page 5. Taliban sets up Islamic government. That's on page 5 as well. Then CBN, that's just below the photo story. CBN raises bank's dollar allocation by 200%. Apex Bank in battle to prevent devaluation of Naira. The story is also on page 5. Now the future of the nation. North Central leaders demand president's slout in 2023. That's on page 31. Also on page 31, cholera kills 6. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so let's take the Daily Trust as well. The lead story says many schools shut as insecurity disrupts learning in 4 states. Many schools shut as insecurity disrupts learning in 4 states. There are 4 riders to that headline. Bandits convert classrooms to restrooms in Zamfara. The restroom there is also another word for toilets. Bandits convert classrooms to restrooms in Zamfara. Uncertainty in Katsina and Kaduna. Niger redeploys boarding students. We must salvage our children. That's according to experts. And empty classrooms, there are photographs. We're not sure whether they are from, well, that's an indication there that these are 5 photographs of empty classrooms. VAT, Gombe asks Lagos and Rivers to reconsider stance. And PDP governors decide Secondus's fate today. Federal agency director commits suicide in Abuja. And Taliban forms government in Afghanistan. Bayo.
Thank you, Kinsley. Let's start with the situation following the briefing of Service Chief to Mr. President yesterday. The President gave directives that they should end selective abduction and killing in the Northwest and North Central. He also enjoined them to adopt new tactics and strategies to end banditry and criminality that is dominating the environment. Banditry and other criminality have also disrupted academic calendar in parts of Northwest and North Central. Daily Trust finding, which Kinsley just read now, across this indicates that in Zamfara, Katsina, Niger, and Kaduna State, the officials in charge have had no choice but to close schools. Currently, Zamfara has closed 23 boarding schools, pending improvement in security situation. Here, initiatives to get boarding students to attend day school were challenged just last week when government day secondary school Kaya was also faced with the situation of abduction of 73 students. Bandits threatened to take over classroom and use them as their restroom in Zamfara. In Kaduna State, resumption of schools are reported to have been deferred. In Niger, most boarding schools in risky security area are reported shut, and students have been deployed to day schools. A professor at the Nasarawa State University says keeping students at home will affect them negatively. The federal government has clarified that no doctor is owed salary in Nigeria. The gap that has ensued came from doctors whose appointment has not been formalized, and therefore there has been a vacuum in the payment of salary. Meanwhile, the federal government yesterday reached a truce with health workers under the Joint Health Sector Union, otherwise known as JOHESU. Minister of Labour and Employment says that a memorandum of understanding on all issues will be signed next week. And the issues are enhancement of hazard allowances, review of retirement age from 60 to 65, areas of consequential adjustment in minimum wage, as well as upward adjustment of CONHES, that is the salary for health sector. Johesu University of Ilorin has already called off the strike. They said they were doing so on humanitarian grounds as they couldn't continue to see people suffer. Meanwhile, resident doctors in Lagos say that they will have to continue with their strike, even as they have reached agreement with Lagos State government. The president of Lagos Resident Doctors, Dr. Aziz Ojekule, says that it is the national body that declared the strike and it alone that has the right to call it off. He asked that the Congress of Lagos State University Chicken Hospital Resident Doctors will also have to take a decision when they meet at the Congress. There are concerns about the cost of cooking gas and it's causing lamentation. In Kwara, Daily Trust reports that 12.5 kilogram is costing about 6,250 and in some places 350. Some dealers told the paper that the situation was occasioned by import tax that was imposed on imported gas 2 months ago. They advised that emphasis should be put on, if emphasis is not if there's no emphasis on imported tax, the importers will have no choice than to pass it on to users. They call on government to increase domestic production and meet local demand. The Group General Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Mele Kyari, says that the challenge of sourcing adequate supply has led to the increase in price for cooking gas. He says presently there is undersupply of gas and they have difficulty feeding all networks. The NNPC is collaborating extensively to extract liquefied petroleum gas from our gas resource. The strategy to expand, he says, will mean that gas network across the nation will lead to supply of gases to homes. This will eventually make possession of cylinders very much unnecessary. There have been trade deficit records. Nigeria recorded import bill of 6.9 trillion in second quarter 2021. This is outweighed by export earnings of 5.1 trillion, occasioned by a trade deficit of 1.9 trillion. Nevertheless, the second quarter trade deficit is 52.6% improvement over that of the first quarter. You know, the economy has been suffering since the advent of COVID-19. That of the first quarter 2021, in fact, stood at 3.1 trillion. Meanwhile, marginal improvements have been attributed to the recovery of activities in many sectors. Presently, Asia remains Nigeria's import source as well as export destination, while trade deficit with Asia is on the increase. So also with America and the Oceania. However, in spite of all this, the trade surplus of 601 trillion naira is for Africa and Europe, which actually is an encouragement. President Muhammad Buhari has expressed appreciation to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the sacrifice by reducing their production of oil to accommodate the demands of Nigeria. He told the Saudi Arabia Foreign Affairs Minister that Nigeria needed all the revenue she could get from oil. Prince Faisal ibn Fahd al Saad, who brought goodwill greetings from King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud of Saudi Arabia, says relations with Nigeria has been on for over 60 years, and this, he assured, will be strengthened, and Saudi Arabia will do all it can to help any difficult situation that we find ourselves. Well, so far, that is the outlook, except that there is also the story of sexual harassment that you read. Yes, there are two reports there that is worth interest. A 64-year-old estate agent has been arrested in Adinya in Ogun State for defiling a 2-year-old girl. It's cruel and it is criminal. The victim was accompanied to Agbado police station. And what did he say? He said that it is a lie and it is just conspiracy. The mother of the girl noticed the bleeding in her underwear, and when he asked her, he pointed to Baba agent's house. And when they went there, the police went there, they found him washing underpants, shorts that is suspected to have blood stains. The other story comes from Obafemi Awolowo University. A lecturer in the Department of English has been dismissed for over sexual harassment of a female student. University Council, which has now adopted a zero tolerance to sexual harassment, dismissed the officer after investigation. It may be recalled that one professor of accountancy was held accountable and dismissed, prosecuted, and is now serving a term in the correctional services for attempting to demand 5 rounds of sex from a postgraduate student. We have lost Brigadier General Antonio Upo. You remember him? He was one time Federal Commissioner for Information. He also serves as a military administrator for Rivers State. He's reported to have died after a protracted illness. Brigadier General Antonio Upo, while he was governor of Rivers State, established the Rivers State Polytechnic, which is now known as Kensaro Polytechnic. May his soul rest in peace.
Well, my concern about some of your reviews is the aspect of sexual harassment and, of course, the defiling of a 2-year-old. You see, we've been having these stories, over and over again. Yes. And one begins to wonder what is really going on. A situation where morality has been, thrown out, by persons who are supposedly matured individuals. Those that should be a 64-year-old man, of course, is not somebody that you should indulge in such thing. That of lecturers, of course, we have always known that that's what happens in schools, many schools. Some are clever enough, perhaps, not to be caught, but it is ongoing. All right, and again, some students also encourage such things, especially ladies, right? Some of them who are not interested in reading are also involved in that, and they may lure some lecturers into that. But some lecturers, as well as you have just read, also try to see how they can, get free sex from students who they know are not such ones that read.
Serious
students, yes, they're not supposed to be academics, so they exploit that a lot.
Yeah, but I think that the authorities of Obafemi Awolowo University should be commended. This is perhaps the second most infamous case, if you like, that has come to the public domain. Earlier you talked about a professor, you recall that one was an audio recording where he was demanding intimacy with a postgraduate student for 5 times before giving her a pass grade. And then this one, of course, is now an English language lecturer. It shows the zero tolerance of that institution for sexual harassment. And other institutions should emulate OAU, because there could be a tendency for some other institutions to say, no, if we publicize this, then it might impact on our image. So let's deal with it as a family affair. It cannot and it should not be a family affair.
Exactly.
It cannot be and it shouldn't be a family affair. And one of the things that I've always found curious is the attitude and role of university female lecturers. I had raised that when we were discussing this issue of sexual harassment. Do female students feel sufficiently comfortable and confident enough
To confide in them?
to confide in them, to report in them. And have female lecturers also taken this up as an advocacy issue, rather than saying, no, it's a man's thing. You know, if female lecturers stood up and said, look, this must stop, then of course the propensity towards it would diminish.
Would diminish.
And the frequency, of course, most obviously.
I don't even think that the female lecturers will have any role to play in this matter, you know, because most times, you know, we have more male lecturers in so many schools than female lecturers, you know, and for you to now begin to advocate for that as an individual, you know, some men will look at you as somebody who...
No,
you know,
no, I
right.
don't think so. Bayo, I mean, there's virtually no institution where you don't have female lecturers.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that some female students have said in the past, look, they were scared of reporting the harasser to another male colleague of his. You were not sure what the consequence would be. So if there are female lecturers sufficiently senior enough, or even if they are junior, then you report to them.
Okay.
That's the point.
I think I agree with Kingsley. If you recall, in the case of the OAU, when the case first came up, even the academic staff union of OAU University was standing behind the lecturer until when the facts came to the fore, and then they quietly withdrew. So there's apparently this kind of...
And he went to jail for 2 years.
Yes.
For that, the same thing with the issue, the other one we have not, you referenced it, Kirian, pedophiles.
Yes.
They're all over the place. And the one way to deal with it effectively is the use of the law, very swiftly.
I think if a 64-year-old man will indulge in such a thing with a 2-year-old,
right.
I think he needs psychiatric examination.
Yes, psychiatric can come later, but let the law
Yes.
first.
Mental case.
Yes.
It's actually a mental illness, you know, for such to take place. 64 years old versus a 2-year-old. All right, we have to close this.
It's not necessarily mental. Sorry, I'm sorry. I know that we are running, we are overrunning. In Southern Africa, in the late 80s and early, when HIV and AIDS were ravaging that part of the continent, there was a certain belief that if a person had HIV and then slept with an infant or a virgin, that you could be cured of HIV and AIDS.
All right, let's close it here and thank Bayo for being here this morning. Bayo, hope to see you again tomorrow for more analysis of what the papers are saying. This is Good Morning Nigeria, your morning show on the network service of the NTA. Well, we are taking a short break now, but when we return, we shall be focusing our attention on the